Hello and welcome to MySecurityTV in our Tech and Sec Weekly. My name's Chris Cubbage. I'm the editor with MySecurity Media. Today we're joined by Geoff Plummer, Executive Business Manager with Davcor, particularly Ever Key Systems and Electronic Keying Australia. Geoff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Chris.
Great to have you back, Geoff. And this follows on a webinar that we ran last week. It was a live webinar session, so if you didn't attend, you've missed out. But we were joined by Gary Shaw with Ruswin, Geoff, obviously, George Dionysiopoulos, who is a former head of security with NextDC. We had Greg Warren from KBR and Jim Fisher, former president of the MLAA. And I think we definitely dived into master key locking systems, and with a reference to Ever Security's report. Geoff, you were the author of From Design to Implementation and Management. So we're going to be talking about key management systems and master key systems in particular. Maybe some of the feedback that you've had on this particular report. It's a detailed report, but it's been widely received on master key systems, which are a bugbear for the industry.
Yeah, look, the report is titled Design to Implementation, and it follows the how you go about auditing to see the status of your existing master key system. Then it sort of goes through a process of how you would identify what sort of master key system you'd need, followed by how you'd go about designing it and getting it surveyed and implementing it. And the most important thing it finishes with is how to maintain it. It is a long report, but it's got a lot of locksmith knowledge in there, and it really leads you through the life cycle of identifying you've got a problem with what you've got, how you move through identifying a suitable product, how you design it, how you get it installed, and then how you maintain it.
Well, one of the takeaways last week, we had some consultants, SCEC consultants as well. So we are talking about high security levels all the way through to domestic in terms of what the report actually covers. And I think from the consultant's viewpoint, there's been a lot of observations around the flattening of access control, particularly on the electronic security, electronic access control versus the physical master key systems. What's the general change in the market and the balance between electronic and keying systems?
So when we talk about flattening the master key system, it means making it less complex. The more complex you make a master key system, for instance, the cleaner has a key to these 3 doors and those 80 doors over there, and designing it around people, against flattening it and having less keys and relying on your access control. The less complex, the more likely your system is to have a longer lifespan, because it's easier to manage. The less keys you've got out there, obviously, the less risk of losing. Also, if you do lose a key in a flat system, it's more likely just to fit one small area, so it can be rekeyed. And because it's less complex, you've used less of the master keying codes available, which leaves more left over to just rekey a small area of your system instead of the whole system. So flattening means rely on your access control and reduce the number of keys out there, and the less complex the system is, the easier it is to maintain.
What are some of the sort of challenges there in balancing the two or marrying the two with electronic and key systems?
Well, obviously the cost, Chris, of access control. We might go to a facility, if we looked at a school, a large high school, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of doors. It is a high cost to install access control right through. So the master key system in a location like that may still be highly used, even though they'd have maybe electronic on all their classrooms and main accesses. If that's the case, you rely on your electronic for access, general access, and most people hopefully won't need a key. But maybe certain people, like the security or something, that may need to access if the system went down for a short period of time, or to service and duct rooms and so forth that aren't used by the general community of the school. Mechanical keys are a good alternative, and I think that's where the synergy is. Even though you have access control on the door, there's still a cylinder in that door locking it up. By having less keys, less options to open that door, you obviously must increase security. If there's only 3 or 4 different people with keys, you've limited it from maybe the hundreds of teachers that worked in my example school. So it meshes that way. And obviously night locking, if you're in a federal government area that need its SCEC rated cylinders, you've got to night lock a lot of your access control, and that's where the cylinder comes in, and the master key system still has a place because it's locking the door, and it is the ultimate override should the electronics go down.
Well, you mentioned federal government there. The report covers off from inline restricted high security to maximum security. What are some of those features that the purchasers and consultants should be looking for within the maximum security or even SCEC endorsed framework?
Okay, so in the maximum security key systems, generally the first thing they're looking for is a rating via a SCEC rating. Generally, most systems fitting in that are rated have what's called SL3, security level 3, and are widely used through federal government buildings. Many other industries, such as local councils and even state government, may refer to the SCEC ratings, even though they don't require them. They use them because it's a way of vetting products and making sure they're getting good quality, and it has been tested locally. I guess the things they're looking for is very difficult to reverse engineer keys. To get a SCEC rating, you have to go through a whole range of tests, which I'm not quite sure what they are, but I know they do
vigorous nonetheless.
Vigorous, and they're definitely very hard to reverse engineer keys. Things such as bumping, which is a method of bumping's a method of opening a lock. It's sort of like picking, but it's bumping with a valid key. A conventional key. So these high security cylinders would be drill proof. If you attack them with a drill, they've got good resistance. Pick, high resistance to picking, very difficult to pick, even for a very knowledgeable person. Pulling, which means you insert something into the cylinder and you have the ability to pull it out, so they'd resist that. Impressioning, which is a way of filing a key to a lock. So virtually every known attack method, they have high resistance to. And I did just say then pick proof. Well, I should just say very high resistance. There's always someone out there who may work out a way to pick even the most secure systems or overcome it. So they've got a very high resistance to all forms of physical attack.
Well, we touched on as well the mix between the sort of the cybersecurity threat and the physical security threat. These type of keying systems, particularly the SCEC endorsed and the high security levels, are there. That's an extra barrier from a sort of foreign interference and intelligence aspects as well. So it's quite an important level to have. I suppose let's finish off just on the auditing. What should the clients and end users be expecting, not just from security consultants, but from their locksmiths in terms of auditing? How often should they audit, and what type of outcomes should they expect from audits?
Well, I think if you've got an existing master key system, you should be able to, from your locksmith, if you don't already have it, have a list of all the keys that are out there. Working out who has those keys will tell you the health of your system. For instance, if you have 100 master keys out there and you can account for all 100, whilst anyone can walk through your entire building, at least you know where all 100 are. But from what I see, unless you start day one of a new system, maintaining that system and auditing and keeping your records up to date, an audit will come along. You may have 50 different keys working different areas of your facility. Some work all locks, some work a few locks. An audit would identify all those keys, work out if you know who has those keys, and generally in the design of the system, if you have a master key, whatever is stamped on it to denote it as a master key, you'll have issue 1, so MK-1, MK-2, MK-3, for instance. So that's master key number 1, 2, and 3. They're the same key, but I know Chris has number 1, I have number 2, and someone else. So auditing is accounting for those keys and who's got them. And there are, if you speak to your locksmith when you get a new system, they should know all of the keys you have, because they have to design it, so they've got those records. There are key management software platforms for the end user, so that they can provide updates. So if you start with a system with one building, then add another, they can provide an update that brings you in all that information, and you can then record who has what key, and you issue it to them. If they leave, you've got to recover it. And if not, then you know your system is in, there's a key out there that fits it.
Well, there was also use of things like key cabinets and layered security as well, where you can mix your electronic security access to your master key systems. So there's a range of solutions that we ended up covering within that hour session. But Geoff Plummer, the main sort of call to action here is to get a copy of the Ever Security and the Davcor report from design to implementation of master key systems. And we'll have the link in the show notes. And we'll thank again the panel that we had for when legacy systems undermine modern defences from design to deployment and securing what matters most. But thank you very much for joining us again on our Tech and Sec Weekly, and thanks for the support from Davcor.
Thanks, Chris.